Day 368 this was of the Trump administration. And if there is rejoicing in the streets where you lived at this late hour, that's because a government shutdown is over. It lasted from midnight Friday into Saturday until earlier this evening. And we'll be back at it 2 weeks from this coming Thursday. That's the next time funding is set to expire. We will have more on that in just a moment, but we have new reporting on the ongoing tensions between the White House and the FBI. Tonight, Axios reporter Jonathan Swan reports it this way. FBI director threatened to resign amid Trump Sessions pressure. And he writes, quote, Attorney General Jeff Sessions, at the public urging of President Donald Trump, has been pressuring FBI Director Christopher Wray to fire Deputy Director Andrew McCabe. But Wray threatened to resign if McCabe was removed, according to 3 sources with direct knowledge. Wray's resignation under those circumstances would have created a media firestorm. The White House, understandably gun shy after the Comey debacle, didn't want that seen, so McCabe remains. Sessions told White House counsel Don McGahn about how upset Wray was about the pressure on him to fire McCabe. McGahn told Sessions this issue wasn't worth losing the FBI director over, according to a source familiar with the situation. Just yesterday, Jonathan Swan also reported this, quote, Attorney General Jeff Sessions has adamantly urged FBI Director Christopher Wray to make a fresh start with his core team, including replacing Deputy Director and Trump bête noir Andrew McCabe, according to a senior administration source. According to this source and 2 other sources briefed on the conversations, Sessions has been strongly urging Wray to do this for some time. Another person Sessions thought should be cleared from the core team, the FBI's top lawyer, James A. Baker, who was reassigned in December. You may recall that FBI Director Wray was appointed to the job after James Comey was fired. But in the months before Wray took over, Deputy Director Andrew McCabe ran the bureau. The president, many of his Republican allies have been publicly critical of Andrew McCabe and have alleged that political bias has influenced the FBI's handling of the investigation into Hillary Clinton's email server, as well as the Russia investigation. Last month, Director Wray defended the bureau at a hearing before the House Judiciary Committee.
There's no finer institution than the FBI, and no finer people than the men and women who work there and are its very beating heart. Almost 37,000 men and women with a fierce commitment to protecting the American people and upholding the rule of law in all 50 states and in about 80 countries around the world. Men and women who face the darkest that life has to offer with unyielding integrity and honesty and dedication.
Tonight, the White House issued this statement in response to this Axios report. Quote, the president has enormous respect for the thousands of rank-and-file FBI agents who make up the world's most professional and talented law enforcement agency. He believes politically motivated senior leaders, including former Director Comey and others he empowered, have tainted the agency's reputation for unbiased pursuit of justice. The president appointed Chris Wray because he is a man of true character and integrity and the right choice to clean up the misconduct at the highest levels of the FBI and give the rank and file confidence in their leadership. With that, let's bring in our leadoff panel on a Monday night. MSNBC national security analyst Frank Figliuzzi, former FBI assistant director for counterintelligence, who has worked with Robert Mueller, among others, and he knows a key player in this story, Andrew McCabe. MSNBC political analyst Eli Stokols is back with us, and Axios reporter Caitlin Owens, whose colleague Jonathan Swan broke the news tonight about Christopher Wray. And Caitlin, if you don't mind, I'd like to begin with you. Walk us through this story. This reads like a case of managing down, pressure from the president down to his cabinet level official, that would be Sessions, from Sessions on down to the FBI director.
Right. So as Jonathan Swan, my colleague, reported, you're right, it was a domino effect. President Trump has been publicly, on Twitter, even deriding McCabe. And so then what we learned tonight is that, this moved into pressure on Jeff Sessions to then pressure Christopher Wray to fire McCabe. And instead of doing so, Wray threatened to resign, which, and I think what is really remarkable about this is just think about what happened with Comey. We've seen the president's willingness to go against the FBI and then the fallout that's still coming from that, both internally within the White House and externally. It's been chaos. So what is truly remarkable here is that the president was still willing to go against the FBI, and Jeff Sessions was as well. And so it's what they avoided the kind of media fallout that we've seen with Comey post his firing, still to this day. But I mean, this just underscores that the president is still taking on the FBI in a way that is truly unprecedented.
Eli, our friend Mr. Swan, who is an internationalist to the core, used the phrase bête noire to describe Mr. McCabe. Put another way, if you do a word cloud of names that appear on Fox News in discussion, McCabe comes up all the time. Remind us why, especially on the right, he is such a politically complicated and controversial figure.
Well, the president and his legal team and his coterie of allies who go on the airwaves and folks at Fox News, they are all looking for any shred of evidence that there is some anti-Trump bias inside the FBI. McCabe, this comes down to McCabe's wife having run as a Democrat for a state Senate seat in Virginia and having taken money from Terry McAuliffe, the former governor of Virginia, who was obviously very close to the Clintons, and then McCabe being in the position, the number 2 at the FBI, during the agency's investigation of Hillary Clinton's email server, and also being seen as someone who the statement from the White House explains, the Comey regime. He's part of the Comey regime. He was elevated under Jim Comey, and that's enough for folks who are trying to paint everything, the FBI, the Mueller investigation, with that brush. That's enough for them, they believe, to show some appearance, or at least to sow the seeds of doubt about the integrity of the FBI, which they're trying to discredit as much as they can in terms of discrediting whatever eventual findings come out of the Mueller probe.
Well, Frank, you're the one of us who's been on the inside. What do you make of any or all of this reporting?
Look, the president and the attorney general are really skating on thin ice here, because the moment that a career FBI agent can be removed or fired simply for doing his job at the whim of a president is the moment where we risk losing the rule of law. So Andy McCabe's a multi-20-some-odd year veteran of the FBI. He's eligible for retirement in something like 2 months. And although it's very common for a new FBI director to start moving very senior managers as he eventually brings his own people in, I actually believe tonight that Director Wray has been holding off on any moves deliberately because he can't appear, for the good of the agency, he can't appear to be a lackey of the president and simply accede to any moves that the president or the attorney general want to make, lest he lose the reputation of the FBI as an independent law enforcement agency.
And Frank, I have to ask you, because it's interwoven in the White House statement tonight, the president and his associates and those who speak for him almost trolling the rank and file at the FBI, setting up this story that management is screwed up and deeply unpopular. And what can you say to that?
So I say that tonight, even though I don't know Chris Wray personally, he's earned my respect. Why? He's preserving the independence of the FBI, but he's also, if this reporting is accurate, he's also sending a message to the rank and file at the FBI that he's saying, I have your back. Do your job, do your very tough job, and I'll have your back. And that's something all Americans should respect tonight.